Hello, everybody. This is Brent, and I think on that side is Bryce. Do I have it right? I'm not sure. Am I to your left? Is that how that works? Or my left? You're to my left? Anyway, nice to see you again. This is episode 26. Bryce is looking at me, Brady Bunch style. We're going to talk a little bit today about technology in schools, not the overarching, like everything that's used, primarily what the students would use. Bryce works for the school system. I have children that are homeschooled, so they use different things. And for that matter, we multiple years have done different things, and even sometimes over the course of the same year. I'm not going to necessarily get into all of that, but we're making a little bit of a switch this year in my family, so we might touch on that. But anyway, before we get rolling, do you have anything you want to mention there, Bryce?
No. Just the comical aspect that we already did this podcast, but because of a problem on my side, we're redoing it. You're welcome, everyone. There's some weird audio issues, and Brent rambled on for about 6 hours.
It was rough.
So
even for me, I was like, I need to stop, but I kept going, and I need to stop, and then I kept going.
This kept going. Your internal filter was just like, not sure. He's just not listening to me right now. So we're going to redo it and be more condensed, learn from mistakes.
Well, I don't know about the learning part.
But also, you are in yet another new environment.
Yes.
Without giving the street address, what's going on over there?
You might be able to tell by a little bit of a painting behind me. I am in my sister's apartment at this point, in a different state entirely. So I basically have a different setup here. Won't get into it too much, but using the MacBook Pro Ferrite app on the iPad Pro to record from the Blue Yeti. You may or may not be able to see the top of it here. It's a similar color to my sweatshirt. And then
it blends in.
Yeah, the camera and, of course, FaceTime with Bryce on the iPhone there. So very condensed group of equipment here. Very noisy environment. And they started to mow outside, so hopefully they won't be outside the window here anytime soon. But either way, so yes, different location. I kind of like doing this, setting things up in different places, see how things work. I don't think I'll get too much echo, but I do have just standard regular walls everywhere, but maybe the curtains and the carpet will help there not be too much bounce. I think the main issue will be the refrigerator, the heating and air conditioning, and then the mowing outside there. But either way, yes, different location, different state. We'll see how it pans out this time.
If all of that extra noise is kind of continuous enough, then noise filtering software should be able to help a little bit. Is everyone there, or do you have an audience right now, or are you just there by yourself?
No studio audience. That's why we're starting a smidge later than we had initially talked about, because now they're watching some videos in the other room, my sister and my daughter. That's one benefit to the you buy the DVD pack that has the DVD and the digital DVD. We don't have to bring the DVDs with us. We just Movies Anywhere or whatever that app is. Just stream them over the internet. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah, cool. Yep. Cool beans. Okay, so the topic you mentioned was tech in school. One of the things that brought this up, I don't remember if you mentioned earlier, because I wasn't listening, but the Apple event that happened in our first round of this podcast. Can you hear that?
No, I couldn't hear it. We'll
the first round of this podcast was actually, it just happened in March when they announced basically the iPad non-Pro, the iPad where you can use the touchscreen with the pen or pencil in Apple's case, which is super cool. And that's kind of what most of this revolved around. Is that still the case?
It is basically, yes. What I was hoping between that prior recording and knowing that it wasn't going to be the one that is released, and now I was hoping to find out more about what Google has to offer. I didn't have time, and when I did have time, I wasn't able to find fast enough anything that led me one way or another, because right now I still haven't purchased the iPad, the regular iPad, the one you mentioned. So I was thinking about, do I want to go Chromebook or do I want to go back to iPad? Because at that point, the last video I was on solid, going to get the iPad. Go ahead.
Oh, you were dead set
at that point.
Here's what I'm getting.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So, and I'm just going to throw this out there just for something for you to look at and anybody else that's watching this. I go to a website every once in a while, imore.com. There is, I don't remember who wrote the article. And admittedly, I wish it would have been a little more extensive because it wasn't a long article. It didn't really go in really deep about what they used. But somebody who admittedly used to work for Apple as a higher up individual did some testing with an iPad, the newest version, and it was just in my head.
Was it a Chromebook, wasn't it?
I think it was an Acer Chromebook, but I can't remember exactly which one.
Right.
But it was one that flips back, has the touch screen, recognizes pen input.
Sure.
And so that he did some tests with that. He basically came down to, you can get either one. It's going to be great. So, I hate reviews like that because it's like, okay, I already knew that going in.
Right.
Give me specifics. But so if you haven't already read that, then, hit imore.com. It's there. It's good enough to at least let you know, okay, there are definitely some Chromebooks out there that can do it. Benefits of the Chromebooks, in my opinion, is your keyboard's already there. It is a little more expensive, but once you add the keyboard and a couple of other things to the iPad, you're getting up to that cost. But the keyboard's already there. It has a trackpad with a mouse. Kids are already used to that for the most part. It's touchscreen. But then you're getting a little bit more of a computer feel. I don't know. I still kind of, maybe I'm just old school, still think that's important.
Right.
Who knows where technology will be when our kids are up and out there wreaking havoc on the world like we are. I don't know what they'll be doing in their workplace. Will it be big buttons, a la, Taco Bell
right.
and McDonald's? That's the iPad experience. Or will they be using an actual computer with whatever else? I guess it really all depends on what they're doing. But anyway, so that's just an idea there.
Yeah. Well, at this point, I'm still on the iPad side. Probably even tomorrow, because I'll be at the iPad store, the Apple store, getting my, this is an iPhone 6. They have the battery upgrade program, replacement program. Yeah. So I'm going to be dropping it off to get a new battery put into it. At that same time, I will probably, unless between now and then something changes, be getting the iPad for my son specifically. My daughter already has an iPad. She does use it for school. She does writing on it. Even she does use the touchscreen keyboard, which I find very annoying, but teenagers are just accustomed to that, apparently. She has written reports and other letters and so forth using that. So, but my son, both of them actually, and this was what kind of kicked it all off, and probably what I rambled the most about the last attempt at this, that we both have burned with fire, those digital versions, is in the types of homeschool that they've done. Pretty well online is what especially last year, it was 100% online. They didn't have to send in anything. Before that, they did a mix. There was a little bit online. They had workbooks that they'd work out of, and then in some cases, they had to send things that a teacher somewhere else would grade. This past year, that wasn't the case. All writing assignments were done on the computer, and they turned in that way. So typing, which is fine. Generally speaking, the future, that is the case. But they both have, like a lot of teenagers, to be quite honest these days, horrific handwriting because they don't ever write with their hands. I mean, it looks like they're writing with their feet sometimes. So that's why I cut to this thought of the iPad and the pencil. The benefit that I get from that as the parent/teacher is I can send him, even if I'm at work and I find something, or at wherever, even here, and we're a different state, I can send him from iMessage or any other way, an email, whatever, a PDF file or a picture, and then he can write right on that with that pencil. And so when he's done with that, he can send that back to me, and I can see his work. So just that pass back and forth alone is a benefit from my vantage point with the iPad, even if he didn't have the pencil and he used just some old school stylus or his finger. But I like the pencil, again, gives that the feeling in your hand. He's lefty, so I probably ought to do this one. But so that's the biggest benefit, I think. And then for me. For him, the biggest benefit is he gets accustomed to that something in his hand and writing. And again, as a lefty, I can't really teach him that because I'm not a lefty. I'm a righty. So he has to find, and he's 12 years old, and he hasn't found it yet because most of his school has been of the online sort where there hasn't been a ton of writing. And sure, first grade, second grade, maybe there was a fair amount at that point. But you go a couple of years without writing much, you don't retain that, especially at that early age. So that's why I want to shift back to something where he can use the hands, build some hand-eye coordination, not like throwing a ball, but I put this here and I move this particular way. That is effectively what writing is. And so that's really the biggest benefit. And then on top of that, there are a lot of beneficial apps. I think in the last video you had mentioned, and I just forgot it, what's the video app? There's also a website where they teach all kinds of things. My rambling timer has gone off.
Where the website where they teach all kinds of things. Well, what does that mean?
Science, math in video format, and my phone is there, so I can't see it either way. Maybe you'll think of it if you start talking about it. Is it specifically for schooling, or is it for learning? For learning, there's a teacher.
Just learning in general?
Yes, primarily. I mean, it's got science, language arts. We use it mainly
like lynda.com?
No. That is a good one. Although, is it still called Lynda, or did LinkedIn buy that?
They bought it, but I think it's still called LinkedIn.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's still called Lynda.
Right. I can't think of it right now. If I wasn't trying to think of it, I'd be able to think of it. But it's there's a website, an app, also on Android that you can go to. A ton of videos that give you instruction on how to do math. And, when you get to doing algebra with fractions in it and so forth, you get letters in math that already is blowing the kid's mind. And then you throw in a fraction there that's going to make it even worse. So this website, I almost had it. Boy, it'd be nice to have a brain. I probably ought to order one before the next video. Anyway.
Text it to me or email it, and then we'll put it in the video.
Toss it in, that's right.
And so we can move on. Or I get hung up on this.
We'll dub it over our voices. But yes. But so anyway, there's a ton of apps, as everybody knows, with iPads, even with the Samsung, the Android stuff. So there's a lot to choose from, and books are crazy expensive. So.
Did you have like 6 Red Bulls before this started?
No, but I did have 3 donuts for breakfast, if that matters. I don't know.
Holy smokes, right. Man.
I'm trying to get in my time and not be like, sorts. I'm not trying to ramble. I'm not trying to ramble, but I'm rambling.
But that's what you're doing, and it's great. It's comically ramble.
Yes. However, not as long as last time. Not as long as last time. True.
So here's what I'm hearing. You're still liking the iPad.
Right.
You're not necessarily locked in, but it is your favorite, and I get it. And the main reason, because you can do probably anything with all of the various options out there,
right.
Your main reason is handwriting. And currently, the iPad, even the non-Pro, but the one that you can use the pencil with, gives you the more writing-esque experience. Is that correct?
That's a large part of it. And again, the talk back and forth, because I can check his work on my phone. He can just merely message it to me anywhere. Same thing with my daughter. So that's another benefit.
Yeah, you could. There are apps that you can do that. You can still solve that conundrum as well with Android / Chromebooks. But there's a little more legwork on your side to get that set up to do it. But that's fixable. There's a solution there. It's definitely easier. Now, admittedly, with that, from my perspective, any iPad or even phone for that matter, you send him something. And he prints it out via your Wi-Fi at home, and then he actually writes it with a pen on top of that paper that he printed, then uses the camera to take a picture and send it to you. I mean, effectively the same thing without the added, $300 price tag.
Right.
Now, for me, I get $20 off. If it was a school, I get $30 off. Woody diddly do when you're at that point, really. But and I also get $10 off the pen or pencil. But again, once you're at that point, that's tax, I guess. But personally, I would still at this point, being a homeschool scenario, recommend an iPad. The main reason is you have 2 children to worry about. That's controllable. Assuming you can control your kids, which I assume you can, at least to some degree. In a classroom environment, see, that's the perspective I have to take. I think about my own kids. They'll be doing a version of home study, a little more structured than yours, but still similar. They'll be home like 50% of the time. But the school still provides books and still provides computers and things when they're at the school and things of that nature. But from my support side of things, I support the entire district. One of the things that we see all the times is a teacher who says, here's what I want you to do. Go run amok. I'm going to turn my back to you and look for vacation spots, or I'm going to go just, have a discussion with this other teacher about something later, or gossip about whatever, while you guys do your work, because I totally trust that you're going to do your work. And then, of course, we get a phone call the next day that we've got 3 broken screens and keys missing off of keyboards, whatever else. So the huge thing for me is the devices need to be chosen based off of, obviously, funding, right? Because if you only have $5, you can't buy a $100 device. What is it that you want to do, right? You already know that, and you've already in your mind, you've made a mental map of how it's going to solve problems, but also how controllable is it? How stable will the whole process be? Because you have 2 kids to worry about. In a classroom environment, that's why I like the Chromebooks better. And I don't like Chromebooks, but I like them better than iPads in the classroom because of that case, because of the fact that we can replace a screen for $30 to $50. And it's actually easy to do. We replace laptop screens all the time. Series of screws, bam, done. None of this delaminate the glass, put in a new screen, put on a new piece of glass. Boom, doing that with my wife's iPad mini at home, and that is what's called a nightmare. I broke the home button ribbon because it's stupid. So I had to buy that. It just, anywho, right to repair. I don't want to repair. I don't want to. Anyways, that's the whole side. So is it something, people ask me all the time here, what should I buy for my kid? They're going to college. Again, your kid. It's one person. And are you going to be the one to pay for the repairs or whatever else? Or basically, is this your gift? And then it's up to them. A lot of that has to go into it. Because if it's up to them to repair it, normally they're going to take a little better care of it. Buy them a slightly more expensive device. If you've been, doing everything for them their entire life and they just expect you to fix whatever they break while they're in college, I recommend a cheaper device because that means they're going to break it quickly. Whether it's a laptop, desktop, iPad, Chromebook, whatever. Get them one of each. Why not? But so when it comes to technology and education, iPad, Chromebook, whatever, use case specific. We have a few cases where I can see an iPad being probably the best solution, but that's a case where you have a teacher who's given a very specific amount of kids, 5 or so, a controllable amount of kids that are responsible, which is hard to find nowadays. You only need one to ruin it. You know what I mean? One kid goes around with his pen and just does this on 3 devices. One kid just, wasted $500. So, that's really from my perspective where things come from. In your case, if you're heavily leaning towards iPads already, you've got a couple dollars to throw that direction, then don't do any crazy extra research. Just do it. Because that's something you're already familiar with. You don't have to then research another path. If you think there might be a better path, well, that's a different story. But in this case, it sounds like you already really, really prefer this path. Then just do it. Why dance around with anything else? But in the fuller, broader spectrum of in general, I don't think, I know Apple's trying to do a lot of stuff, but no offense to these kids, no offense to these teachers, but they give everybody way too much credit. And they're trying to sell a lot of devices. We've seen the damage that these kids can do. And unfortunately with these teachers go in gung-ho, I want to teach these kids. They realize these kids are idiots And they're just like, you know what, I'm just here for a paycheck. Oh, if I take this extra class, I can be an administrator and I don't have to deal with the kids anymore. So ladder climbers, so it's all these other issues inside the school system because it's broken amongst all the other systems that are out there. But devices, that's one of the reasons, probably 2 or 3 of the reasons why in the school districts, Chromebooks are really a hit because the cost, the initial cost, the cost of repair, and even the apps for that matter. We can actually go to the developer and say, here's the app. We want to buy your app. Here's how many licenses we need. Can we get a discount? Apple, you really can't do that. You kind of, for the most part, not always, but for the most part, you're going through Apple. I pointed over here, by the way, because I just upgraded my camera to a firmware update that supposedly fixes connectivity issues through Wi-Fi. And I just now got a message. There is no response from the camera. We got this, a few episodes back. It usually connects. It's usually still recording.
It's a good way to find out after the fact.
We'll see. All right. It says it is. Good. Okay. Well, I tell you what, if you don't mind, unless you got something else to say, you want to end it there or do you have something else you want to throw in?
I'm good at this point.
Okay. Then let's end it there. And you may or may not see us next week wearing the exact same thing in the exact same location.
Yeah. And if we
see everybody then.
It'll be business. See ya.
That's right. And we also won't see you because it's a one-way thing. I'll see Brent.
That's what I meant.
You guys will see us. Yeah. All right. Ciao.
Bye. All right.